The Motor Dream podcast is recorded on Camaragal land of the Eora Nation. It always was and always will be the lands of the First Nations of Australia.
This is the Motor Dream podcast.
Welcome to episode 45 of the Motor Dream podcast, the show where we can dream just a little about what our dream garage would be if money was no issue. I'm Connor McNally and it's great to have your company once again. In this episode, we turn our attention to the world of MotoGP. It is the premier two-wheeled formula of motorcycle racing worldwide, and its long-standing popularity, along with its high intensity of action on and off the track, ensures that there's plenty of drama at every turn. And right in the middle of it is a woman who is not only a recognisable face for Australian audiences, but is bringing the world of MotoGP to a whole new audience on social media. More of my guest in a moment, but first, here's a quick reminder of what this show is all about. I tell my guests that one day they wake up to discover that they've received a text telling them they need to check their bank balance. They then open up the bank app and they suddenly discover that they're instant billionaires. As soon as they discover their newfound fortune, they get an email from this mystery benefactor that tells them that they can spend anything that they like and they can buy any car, bike or machine that they want. There is a catch though. They are only allowed 3 cars, bikes or machines in their dream garage. Sounds easy, doesn't it? But as my previous guests have told me, it is very difficult to decide what they'd like to have in their own dream garage. As always, be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast itself wherever you listen to your podcasts, and be sure to check out the entire episode library if you've not yet done so. Also, be sure to check out our socials, which we'll tell you more about at the end of the show. We are now 3 rounds into the 2026 MotoGP World Championship, and the competition is already fierce in this early phase of the season. Marco Bezzecchi has won the opening 3 races in Thailand, Brazil and the United States, but leads the title fight over his Aprilia teammate Jorge Martin by 4 points. We're also seeing the dominance of the European manufacturers in Aprilia, Ducati and KTM over the likes of Yamaha and Honda, as they lead the way in the aero and technical development of their machines. We're also seeing significant changes with the sport going forward, not just technically, but also with how the sport is being promoted. 2026 marks the final year of the 1000cc formula, replaced in 2027 by new regulations that will see engines reduced to 850cc's and the number of engines allowed per rider from 7 currently to 6. Commercially, Liberty Media, the current custodians of Formula One, have taken over the commercial rights from Dorna via buyout of the latter and are intending to bring the flair that's been successful to their 4-wheeled counterparts to the 2-wheeled world. The sport itself is enjoying a surge of popularity. TV viewership numbers worldwide continue to rise, as do crowd attendances, and the racing itself is the best we've seen in a very long time. The impact of MotoGP on social media continues to grow as it looks to emulate the successful trends that have seen Formula One become highly successful. We're now seeing more content creators emerging through their interest in MotoGP, bringing with it a new perspective to fans old and new. Amongst those creators who are bringing MotoGP to a whole new audience is someone who's witnessed it firsthand from a young age, Renita Vermeulen. Renita is currently a part of Fox Sports' extensive MotoGP coverage, where she's been on the ground reporting and producing news items and interviews at all the Grand Prix since 2024. Her CV with Fox has extended beyond MotoGP, featuring in some exclusive digital content covering Formula One and the Bathurst 1000. Away from her Fox Sports commitments, she's a prolific content creator in the MotoGP sphere on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok, and is a regular contributor to the OMG MotoGP podcast, hosted by the iconic Keith Huewen. Her knowledge and expertise in MotoGP comes from having experienced it firsthand. Having been born and raised into a family that was as passionate about the sport as she is, she travelled the world in support of her brother Chris Vermeulen, who reached the lofty heights of the sport in Supersport, Superbike and MotoGP. And of course, his record speaks for itself. He won the 2003 World Supersport Championship for Honda before establishing a MotoGP career that culminated in his sole victory for Suzuki in 2007, where he won the French Grand Prix. Having initially carved out a career as an actress and singer, Renita took up an opportunity with Honda Australia in 2022 to look after the media management of their motocross team in the highly competitive ProMX Motocross Championship. It was this exposure and forming crucial working relationships with fellow presenter Kate Peck that allowed her to branch out and become established as a key personality when it comes to all things MotoGP and motorcycle racing. Away from the track, she is just as passionate about bikes as she is about cars, and shares the same interest in American hot rods and classic cars as her brother Chris does. So it came to no surprise to me that there was a distinctly American feel to her dream garage, which you'll have to stick around to find out. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy my chat with Renita Vermeulen. MotoGP host and presenter for Fox Sports, Renita Vermeulen, welcome to the Motor Dream podcast. It's so good to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is so good to have you, and it's great to have you from your Gold Coast base where you're getting yourself ready to go for the 2026 MotoGP season. And as we're recording this, we've just seen Jack Miller unveil his new machine for season 2026. Of course, the ProMX Yamaha team have just unveiled their livery for the 2026 season. Topback Razgakiliok, who I'll get it right eventually. I'll just say Topback for the sake of it. Of course, he's the reigning World Superbike champion, but he's joining Jack Miller this year. It's an exciting time for MotoGP, and especially for Australian fans who crave MotoGP. We know how exciting it is, and I know you're excited as well.
Oh, 100%. This year is phenomenal. You know, Jack's back on the grid after the last 2 years where it's been, is he going to be, is he not, is he going to World Superbikes, all this talk. And then we've seen Jack really come into his own at ProMaha, as I like to call it, ProMX Yamaha, where he's found himself in a position where he can be useful and use all the knowledge, all the data that he's gained from multiple different manufacturers over the years. Now, we know Jack, he's a race winner in MotoGP. There's no denying that. We're here now, he's really starting to build and develop this bike to help Fabio Quartararo, his teammate over at the Monster Energy Yamaha team, really fight once again so he can be world champion. So now it's more than just Jack fulfilling his dream. It's about him helping the bigger picture with Yamaha. And then obviously Toprak coming in. We spoke about this earlier off air. You know, yeah, he is reigning world champion, but in World Superbikes, but coming from a production-based championship to a completely one-of-a-kind motorcycle is going to be eye-opening, to say the least, for Toprak. And I'm not even the one riding the MotoGP bike.
As I said, I have no doubt about that. But like you said, it's a very different bike altogether because, yeah, production-based, you've got steel brakes and it's a production engine. Obviously, there's a lot of tweaks to the bike, but these MotoGP bikes, we know, full-blown factory bikes, and they really, really go hard. And they're a very difficult machine to conquer as well.
Oh, 100%. You mentioned there, steel brakes to carbon. That's the first thing. You've got aerodynamics. You've got ride height devices. You've got all the electronics going in it. I don't know if you've seen the dashboard of a MotoGP bike, but there's a million different buttons there, all different colors, different levers. They've got thumb brakes to help with the rear braking so they can stabilize the bike. It's more than just twisting the throttle and changing gears. Like, there's so much these guys are doing to complete a 24-lap race in 45 minutes or so. So, look, I take my hat off to them. I couldn't do it. I was lucky enough to go on the back with Brock Pearson a couple of years ago, our ASBK rider with Desmo Ducati, and that was enough for me. I never got to do it with my brother, and I'm really glad for that because I think he would have scared the living daylights out of me. But when I did a couple laps of Phillip Island with Brock, I went, cool, this makes sense now. These guys are crazy.
I'm actually very surprised that you have that attitude where you've gone, right, I've done that. I don't want to ride a motorbike again. I mean, I'm sure you ride motorbikes on the road in a casual sense, but you have no interest in racing motorcycles.
No, I never, no interest at all. Like I said, I always grew up riding on the farm, everything like that. But my brother has the competitive edge. And it's funny, I'm a real creative person, hence why I've come into a creative style job and really love to yap as well. So that helps with things. But yes. I leave the competitiveness to him and give me the fun stuff and I'll go and do that. That's what I like to say.
Your brother being Chris Vermeulen, 2003 World Supersport champion, who is now doing great things behind the microphone as the host and reporter for the Australian Superbike broadcast for SBS and I think also internationally as well, which is a very, very cool gig for Chris to step away from motorbikes as a rider and then go into the expert analysis role. He does a very good job of it.
Oh, I think so too. And I think how cool for him is he's been where a lot of these riders are, especially the young and upcoming riders. So for him to, okay, he probably rode those track about 100 years ago, same with Steve Martin and those guys, but the tracks haven't changed. They can still give their advice and opinion and help these guys. And at the same time, there's Chris, there's Steve, there's Troy Corser, there's these big names in Australian motorcycle racing who are using their platform as well to help build up our Australian up-and-coming riders. And I think how cool is that? That, yeah, okay, Chris has done a lot in his career, but now he's helping these guys. We see them on the TV, giving them a platform, and we know that the ASBK, it gets streamed over into Asia as well, and a lot of our guys do compete in Asian championships. So utilizing everything together, I think it's phenomenal for the sport, and for me it's so cool to see Chris still involved with racing all these years later.
Has he come to you for any advice when it comes to presenting, or is it the other way around?
No. I think he found his little niche. When he was doing his hosting with Fox Sports, like you said earlier, and the TV show and whatnot, he found his niche. And then I've definitely got mine. There's no way I could sit there and talk about some of the technical aspects and things that he knows because of his history. And I would never try and do that. The way that I do things is I like to tell stories, and I like to tell stories about the fastest bikes in the world to try and get more fans, more people interested, I guess similar to Drive to Survive, but in my own version, where with Chris, he's trying to relay what these people are feeling or these riders are feeling on the bike to the person at home. So completely different. No way you'll ever hear me talking about that. And if you do, maybe it's from my hot lap with Brock Pearson a few years ago.
I love it. Well, I've had a few hot laps in cars. I've never done one on a bike, and I don't know if I actually really want to, because I've never ridden a motorbike before in my life, and I hate to admit that, but it is true. I know, you're giving me a very shocked look. It is true. I have never ridden a motorbike. Put me in jail for that, because that is that's just a crime. But I don't know. I've just never. I don't know. Maybe it's just nerves. Maybe it's just me being scared of not having a roll cage around me or having that protection around me. I can't imagine what the sensation would feel like to be a passenger on a pillion ride going at about 280 kilometres an hour. I mean, it would just be overwhelming to every sense of your body.
No, I think you're 100% right. I grew up on bikes, and so for me, I'm so used to the feeling. From when I was a tiny tot, I was either with my dad or with my brother. My sister rode, like we grew up on a farm, we had dirt bikes. It's what I'm used to, that feeling. When I first jumped on the back of Brock's bike, now I've been on road bikes before. I have my license, everything like that. But when I jumped on the back, it was a sense of, I'm almost like in a fighter jet. I feel like this is what Top Gun feels like, because the G-force is just the feeling of the world pushing down on you as you're going into a corner, and then you'll go up. Especially we did it at Phillip Island, right? There's quite a bit of elevation, camber going into corners and whatnot, especially if you go down into Lukey. That was really cool to experience. And same going down the main straight is, okay, I'm tucked in behind Brock, but you actually can't see anything. You're just like looking in. And I'm sure even for him, he's tucked in, almost just trying to look through the dash, like the smallest little bit there in the windscreen to see. You just see a bit of the ocean at the end, and nothing. So you don't even know where you're going into that first corner. It's insane. Like I said, they're absolutely crazy. But the cool thing is the equipment now is so well designed for these guys on the bikes, the helmets, the leathers, the airbags, all the safety gear is there. So for me, that was the other thing, is like, okay, I know that I'm safe. If we crash, I know what's going to happen is we're just going to slide down the road to get onto the gravel or the grass there. And I felt completely fine. I think if I'm going to give you some advice right now, if you ever get to go on the back of a pillion, just relax. Just relax and go off the floor, kind of like a roller coaster. That's probably what I should have just said at the beginning. It's just like a roller coaster.
Well, okay, maybe the closest thing, other than being in a car, that I can feel like it, I've been in a roller coaster, is I did a 2-up ride with Matt Hall from the Red Bull Air Race. And I did it a couple of years ago as a guest of Red Bull. And that was really cool. I was very nervous jumping into the cockpit because obviously Matt's controlling it behind me. But then sitting in the front, you feel very nervous because these engines are like big blocks, and they're big and throaty and loud, and then you're going along the gangway up towards the runway, and you're thinking, okay, my God, what's going to happen? But then once you get going and you go into the air, and you think, oh, this is not too bad. And then once you go upside down and do the loops, it's like, it's actually not that bad. It's actually a lot of fun. I'm sure that was the same for you when you had your ride with Brock.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I've seen 1,000,001 laps around Phillip Island, so I knew what to expect going in and whatnot. But for me, it was just a case of, okay, he knows what he's doing. I'm going to relax and just enjoy it and flow through with it.
Yeah.
The coolest thing was I got off it. I called my dad and I said, I understand now. I remember, like, Chris would say things about the lap, or you watch MotoGP riders, they come in and they're pointing at the mat and they're trying to explain things to their crew chief and their team. I was like, I get it. I get what they're talking about now. So for me, from presenting and everything, it was, okay, this makes sense. Am I going to go and do that every track? Probably not, because I don't know if that's available to me. And I don't know if I could.
You'd be pushing your luck a little bit there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but just from a whole knowledge base and understanding, it was like, that light bulb went off, and I'm like, okay, now that makes sense. I understand the bumps he was saying. I was understanding the wind direction. I'm understanding all the factors that come in to try and make one perfect lap. Then you have to do that, 24 laps in a row, or through qualifying, practice, everything that happens over a race weekend.
I guess there's one positive for you is that you didn't have to do a hot lap around Bathurst, around Mount Panorama. I mean, sadly, we don't get the opportunity to race motorbikes around Bathurst, but if you had that opportunity, I'm pretty sure you would have been more than blown away. You've already been blown away being around Phillip Island, but I'm pretty sure if you had done Bathurst, it would have gone next level.
I attended with the Fox Sports, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk it. I'm try and run it, and everyone's like, yeah, good luck trying to get up the first half of it. I was like, nah. I said, why watch it? It's not that bad. Oh my goodness me, this is like going straight up and then trying to come down the other side and back around. And I was talking to Brock Feeney a little bit about it and whatnot. And then you think back, his dad actually raced it on a motorbike.
He did
which
too.
Is crazy. And then this year we had last year in 25, Joel Kelso came and attended as a guest at the Bathurst 1000. And he knows Brock as well. We're talking about it. Joel, who's a Moto3 rider in the World Championship, was absolutely mind blown at what these guys were doing in this car around this circuit. And you think you're riding a Moto3 bike around some of the most famous circuits in the world. So it was so cool to see, obviously, that cross connection of different avenues of motorsport there, and just how much these guys take their hats off. But yeah, Bathurst, I've done it in a sim. It was hard to tackle in a sim. I've done it on my own legs, and that was hard enough too.
It is steep. I've done the walk around the mountain, and yeah, like the steepest point is obviously the cutting. 1 in 6th grade, one in 1/6, I think it is, going up towards the top of the mountain. Then you go the descent down the mountain. I mean, it's cool. And I do a lot of laps on the sim racing around Mount Panorama, so I know how much of a challenge that is. But I've watched old videos of the bikes at Bathurst from the early to mid 80s, and you just think to yourself, how crazy were they to race around the mountain when there was a lot of concrete walls, not as much as they were back then compared to now. But yeah, the safety aspect, not there compared to what you've got now. It's, yeah, there's a reason why bikes don't race at Bathurst anymore. And it's a shame in some respects, but the sad reality is bikes have outgrown Mount Panorama.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it is a car track, and we are starting to see that with a lot of tracks here in Australia, although some of them are putting in the money and the effort to keep them safe for our motorcycle riders, which we love, but Bathurst, it's iconic for supercars. It's iconic for car racing. We see Valentino Rossi go there for the Bathurst 12 hour as well. We've heard him talk about it. So it's iconic. It has its place, and I think it's great. We'll keep it for the cars because at the moment, we've still got Phillip Island for the bikes. So
That's true.
we'll keep it that way.
Well, you've got videos you can watch of Neil Crompton commentating the bikes at Bathurst from those days, so you can always hound him about that if you needed to. Where did your love of bikes come from? Obviously, you've grown up in a motorcycling family. Your brother, Chris, of course, won the World Supersport Championship way back in 2003. But where did that love first come from? Was it from a young age, like as it growing up as a toddler, or did that come a little bit later for you?
No, I've always been such a fan. For me, some of my earliest memories are traveling Australia with my parents, my brother and my sister, when my brother was racing in the Australian Superbike Championship back in the late 90s. I just remember us going to places like Wakefield Park. And like I said, I've been to Phillip Island like a million times. Back in the day, it was Eastern Creek. Now it's Sydney Motorsport Park, all those places. So for me, that's my memories. I remember Sunday afternoons watching MotoGP, watching Valentino Rossi in his early days on well, back then, yeah, the MotoGP Championship, even the Superbike Championship. It's just always been such an integral part of who I am. My dad would have a garage and we would have the dirt bikes. We'd have my brother's road bikes. My dad would always be in there working on them. My parents owned a bakery. So my dad would go to work at midnight, come home around 8 a.m. in the morning. And if we go to school. If I was at home, it's like dad's there working on the bikes. My brother's there helping him. So it's just been such a part of who I am, how I've grown up. And then it's funny because I mentioned to you earlier, I'm a creative. So my brother went off, did the racing thing. My sister even did a lot of sports. But for me, it was always performing arts. So that's when my side of things came in, is I was always interested in the plays and the theater and singing and dancing and all that stuff. So I never had that competitive edge or wanted to try and do motorcycling as a career. It was only much later in life that I thought, I think there's a way that I can combine the two of these, my love for performing arts and creativeness and my history with motorcycling and my knowledge in there. Because for me, the coolest part was growing up watching Chris. I knew the struggle. I've seen what families go through, but I've also been able to witness him progress, win that world championship, go into MotoGP, sit there in testing days and watch how the data gets relayed to the teams and how they all work together and how they build things. So I love, honestly, MotoGP is everything to me. It's just the coolest sport in the world. And I just want more and more and more people to fall in love with it like I have. And I wasn't forced. They don't pay me to say that. I just say it on my own accord.
I like that. But I find it very interesting, your upbringing. Your parents, your dad more so was a baker. So you would, I guess, come home, or you would wake up to having, like, I guess, fresh bread or whatever. So there's the fresh stuff that came from the bakery, and then you got the smell of oil and brakes and everything else. I mean, that's chaotic in itself in terms of your senses, having two different smells, like smell of oil and smell of fresh bread. I mean, what could be so much better when you're growing up in a family like yours?
It's funny, like, yeah, the bread thing, it does bring back a lot of memories and whatnot. But for me, it's like two-stroke. Like if I smell two-stroke engine, I'm like, it takes me back to being 4, 5, 6, like all those younger years and the memories that start to flood back. And it's funny, sometimes my mum will pull out all the photo albums and we look at stuff from when we were younger. And it's really cool. Like the stuff that I got to do was definitely not like a typical childhood, you know, because like we were traveling around Australia or following my brother's career a lot of the time. And for me, it didn't necessarily like deter me in any way. Like I said, I knew what I wanted to do, which was the creative side. I had no interest in it. It was only until I realized I could combine the two. And that's the cool thing, is we live in 2026 where there's this world of opportunities available.
Absolutely. And you've got a great opportunity now, obviously, as the host and reporter for Fox Sports MotoGP coverage. And that's a very exciting time to be the main presenter for the broadcast at every Grand Prix. It's a very, very cool gig that you've been able to accomplish. How did that all come about, and how much you enjoy being the face of MotoGP for the audience here in Australia?
So it all came about through, I got contacted through a gentleman there They actually found me creating content about MotoGP. So if I backtrack a little while ago,
Please.
I started working with Honda Racing Australia motocross team back in 2022, I think it was.
So it would have been around the ProMX championship in that formative
ProMX
years.
championship. Yeah, 100%. Now my partner, he used to race motocross. So apple doesn't fall far from the tree in the Vermeulen household. There's always something with motorbikes around here. But got the job with Honda Racing Australia, traveling the ProMX, did that for a year. And at the same time, I started watching Kate Peck and Danny Hem and these guys who were doing stuff with the ProMX. And I'm going, I really like that. I like how they can conduct themselves. Love listening to the interviews. And that was cool working with the riders, getting to see that side of things. I did that for a season. And that's when I got the idea, I'm starting to see TikTok rise. And I'm starting to see this world of F1 really, really rise in the TikTok influencers and the content creators talking about this space. And that's all came from Drive to Survive, essentially. So I'm thinking to myself, if they can do that with Formula One, maybe I could do it with MotoGP, and nobody was doing it at the time. So I decided to come back home to sunny Queensland from cold Melbourne and give this a red hot crack. And so at the same time, I started working with an agency here on the Sunshine Coast where we were still involved with ProMX and the riders and whatnot. So I still get to do my creative, my digital side. And then in the evenings on weekends, I was creating content about MotoGP. And through that, that's how I got picked up with Fox Sports. Excuse me. Originally, it was just going to be social media and creating the content, telling the stories that way. But through that, it's really progressed. And now I get to work in the entire digital broadcast media space. So yeah, I'm still doing socials with Fox Sports, and you'll still see my face on there and hear my voice on the podcast there. You'll see me on the broadcast conducting interviews. You might see me on Fox Sports News doing live crossovers. So I really get to do every aspect of what the broadcast and digital media is. And at the same time, it's still being true to myself and telling stories about the fastest bikes in the world, which I'm just so incredibly honored about. I can't believe it's my 9 to 5.
Hey, if you have a job like that, I don't think you can say it's a day-to-day job. It's a job that you love doing. And if you love doing your job, you're not really doing your job at all. You're doing something you absolutely are passionate about.
100%. I don't get Sunday scaries. I don't get anything like that.
Yes.
For me, it's a case of, the hardest part is probably just working a European time zone in Australia.
Oh,
weekends.
yeah, I know it.
I'd relate with that. Hey, yeah.
Yes, I do. Working with SBS, I totally understand. So
yeah, that's just the downside is why is Australia so far away from this? And why are all the races in Europe and we have one in Australia? So I must admit, when they do come for the flyaways towards the end of the year, I'm very excited about that. So, but for me, it's just a case of, like I said earlier, I love MotoGP. I love the storylines, the characters, the people there, the bikes, what these people, these normal average people are able to do on this machine that goes north of 350 kilometers per hour around some of the fastest tracks in the world, and how, look, it's dangerous and they do escape death and everything like that. But the technology and the safety and everything that comes together to put on this show 22 weekends a year, I just live for it. And so for me, if I can bring more people in to follow that and see it and fall in love with it like I have, then my job on this planet is done.
And you do a very good job of it as well. And you get to do it with the likes of Chad Nailon, who, of course, does supercars now. And he's also hosted the broadcast for Fox Sports with the MotoGP. He's very good at it as well. What's Chad like to work with?
Chad's great. He's good. And you can tell I have a lot of energy. Chad has a lot of energy as well.
Oh, I know. I've worked with him in the past. He's got so much passion, so much energy. I mean, it is absolutely infectious. He loves his speedway, though. Loves his sprint cars.
Doesn't he? And we see it all at the social media at the moment, the summer series over there. But Chad is incredible. And as I was coming up and still coming up in my journey, just having him there, having him in the corner and helping support me if I have questions or whatnot, he's there to answer straight away. So it's really cool to see that in Australia, we have such an integral group of people in this side of the motorsport, because, we've got Rihanna Korean, you've got Jess Yates, you've got so many people there that want to help everyone. Everybody has everyone's back. And that's what I just love about it. I think motorsport isn't big here in Australia compared to the other codes, the other sports that are out there. But we've got a really, really good group of people here who are going to help bring it back to that level or even beyond where it used to be.
Well, you mentioned a couple of names just before, Rihanna and Jess, of course, who they've been a part of the supercars furniture for a number of years now. But you've got other female presenters and reporters that have really, I guess, made a bigger presence in the wider motorsport landscape around the world. When you look at people like Susie Perry, who's been the face of MotoGP for a very long time. You look at Rachel Brooks, you look at Natalie Pinkham, you look at Hannah Walker, who's hosting the Dakar coverage worldwide. I mean, she's a cycling commentator, but she's doing the Dakar, which is absolutely impressive. I mean, the female presence of presenters and reporters in motorsport. Jamie Little's another one as well in NASCAR land. Yeah, it's so good that there's a much bigger female presence and not just hosting and commentating, but reporting. And it means that there's a much bigger market to promote and get people into the sport, especially for women, because for a long time it's always been a very male-dominated sport, but it's changed in a lot of ways, hasn't it?
100%. And I think we really do have Formula One to thank for that, because the rise of TikTok. Lizzie McIntosh, she came from creating TikTok to then working with Formula One. And now I know she's UK based in the US. And I think that there's more than just the sport. And yeah, obviously that's why we're there at the end of the day. But like I said earlier, you've got the characters, you've got the people there. So we can talk about that. You've got the dynamics, you've got the technology, you've got the safety aspect. There's so many different parts that make up any sport what it is. So there's a lot of different ways that you can keep telling that story. And I think it doesn't necessarily have to come from the male side of things. You can have the female side of things, and it can be a really, really good blend to help take it to a much wider audience. But I think we're seeing it across all sports now. Is I feel like females originally were just like the press officer or worked in the journalism side or something like that. And now in motorcycling as well, we're seeing female mechanics, female data technicians. I know Max Verstappen last year took up his strategy analyst or whatnot onto the podium when he won a race.
Right.
And she was female. So there's so many strong females in all aspects of sport that are coming through. And I think like it is so cool that it's happening in 2026. We're getting to witness it. And I mean, sport is incredible. It's one of the best entertainment forms on the planet. So why are we not making it to that much bigger, broader audience?
Exactly. You mentioned another name before, Kate Peck, and I know Kate very well, and she's not just a colleague and a friend as well, but she's absolutely passionate about her motorcycling, and we hope to get her on the pod later on in this series. But Kate is just so engrossed with motorcycling. It is her bread and butter. It is her life. And I know how much passion she has for motorcycling, for motocross. How much of an impact has she been on helping you further your career when you started out?
Oh, she was incredible. Back in the ProMX days, I was working with Honda. She came over to ask one of our riders about an interview. And I was like, wait, Kate, how did you get into this? Tell me, like I want to know. And I just started picking her brain. And for her, she's been phenomenal. We actually did the homecoming ride. So at the Australian Grand Prix at Phillip Island, they meet just outside of San Remo, just off the island. There'll generally be a few riders there. This year, we were lucky enough to have Casey Stoner, Pecco Bagnaia, obviously Jack, Senna, Joel, the Aussies, Marco Bezzecchi. And Kate Peck and myself, we got to ride in it as well, which was phenomenal. So we rode alongside each other on the way to the circuit, and it was really, really cool. There's a lot of other women in the group, so people buy tickets to go and attend this. And it's so cool to see what Kate does with the ProMX and motorcycling and her adventure rides and her way of sharing her story. I love seeing it, and I think it's brilliant. She's talking about energy with Chad. She also brings the energy.
Yes, she does. She is, as I said, absolutely passionate. I've done some work with her, doing some content for her in the past, and she is just, I've never known someone that is just packing in so much energy into every little thing that she does. And she and she's got two boys as well. I don't know how she does it, but she just does it with absolute ease. I'm sure she says otherwise, but she looks like she does it with ease.
She definitely struggles. There's a lot of work that goes into
Yes.
Kate Peck's life, but I see her every year at Phillip Island, and it's like it might be the only time in a year that I get to see her, and it's like no time's passed, catching up like old time's sake, and it's great. And that's the thing is, motorcycling brings so many people together. Okay, you don't have to compete in it. You can be a fan of the sport, but it brings people together, and that's what we love.
Absolutely. I will touch a little bit more about you and how you got into going from the creative side into getting into the world of MotoGP in a sec. But I want to touch on the fact that, motorcycling brings people together, but we're now seeing more women racing in motorcycling, particularly with the Women's World Championship, the Women's Circuit Racing World Championship, which supports the World Superbikes. And we've been very, very lucky that we've had 2 Australian women race in the World Championship in the last couple of years. Taylor Ralph has done the last 2 seasons, and now she's going to do her 3rd straight season with the support of OnlyFans, which is a big deal in itself, that she's going to be an athlete sponsored by OnlyFans, which is really, really cool. Then you got also Tara Morrison, who's done a couple of rounds during last season, hoping to do it again. The interest of women racing in a world championship specifically for them, it's controversial for some, but I think it's a very good idea. It's a very good concept. And we know that women motorcyclists are just as competitive, if not much more competitive than the men at the best of times, because they really can put up a really good fight on the track, can't they?
Oh, 100%. And I remember when I was younger, there was a female who used to race in the 125cc World Championship back in the day. I can't remember her name right now, but it's not been uncommon for women to be involved in racing. And I think the Women's World Circuit Racing Championship that they brought in was great. We saw people like Maria Herrera, who used to race in Moto3. We've seen, I think she went even to Supersport, won Supersport championships or whatnot. We've seen a lot of women come through. The fact that they call it the World Championship, okay, it is mostly European based once again, but how cool is it? Like you said, we had Taylor Ralph. Now she stood on the podium. I think she won.
She hasn't won yet.
Podium.
She has been on the podium, and that was last season. And that's a big deal for Taylor to be on the podium, particularly in a world championship. Like, that's not to be sneezed at. That's pretty impressive, particularly when you're going up against 23 other women from around the world. And we can include Avalon Biddle as well, because she's from New Zealand, and she's New Zealand's only representative in the World Championship. And, pretty much it's predominantly European. But the fact that you've got so many countries being represented on a world stage like the Women's World Championship, that's very impressive.
Very, very impressive. And I think, shout out to these girls. Tara, we see her every weekend in the ASBK. She is there or thereabouts, right? So she is trying. For her to have that opportunity as well is phenomenal. You mentioned Avalon. And I think for me, the Women's World Circuit Racing is just the fact that it's with the World Superbikes. So it is there getting the TV time. We air it on KOE, air it on Fox Sports as well. So these girls, it's not just a little something that gets thrown in the corner. They're doing it in a way where the girls can have enough budget to be able to afford it, to get that platform. And now look at Taylor. She's getting one of the biggest brand names that's currently happening in 2025, 26 and beyond with OnlyFans is now her major sponsor. I don't really know any of the other girls who have such big sponsors like that. We know our OnlyFans sponsor. Is it Renee Gracie in car racing? They have the USA team in Moto2, the OnlyFans team in Moto2. So they're really trying to get into sports. So I think for Taylor to have that, that's just going to help her. And because it's hard for an athlete, they need to have obviously the speed on track, but they also need to have that personal brand off track as well. So for Taylor, it's going to help her in more ways than I think she's ready for. But we'll see. I mean, OnlyFans, it's a little bit like controversial, isn't it? Having that name.
I was just going to say, it is a catch-22 situation because of the platform that it promotes. But I liked what Taylor did, and she said that they're trying to promote the brand to help get athletes onto a world stage and not necessarily down a sexualized platform. It is trying to broaden their awareness on a world stage in their specific field of athleticism. And in Taylor's case, it's racing in the Women's World Championship. She's doing good things, and it can only broaden her personal brand as much as the OnlyFans brand can be I guess, pushed out into the mainstream. It's not an easy platform to promote, but if Taylor can do it, she can do it very successfully, I reckon.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not an easy sport to promote. It's not an easy sport to promote in Australia when motorsport isn't necessarily graded as one of our higher ranking ones. And even if it is, motorcycle racing is down the bottom. We obviously have F1, we have supercars, and then we have motorcycle racing. So I think what Taylor's been able to achieve in her short years of the women's world circuit racing, because there was a long time between when she raced in ASBK and then she jumped back on a bike to go and enter in the women's world championship. I think what she's managed to achieve in that time frame, 2 years there, is phenomenal. And I'm so excited for her to get this season underway and see what she can do in 26.
I want to touch now on the way you've transgressed from being a content creator, being in the creative arts, into what you're doing now with the content creation, with Instagram, with TikTok, YouTube, particularly in terms of MotoGP. You're one of the very few that do that particular content for MotoGP. We definitely have a lot for supercars, and we definitely have a lot in terms of Formula One. And as you mentioned before, Drive to Survive has played a huge part in that. But when you were growing up, as you said, you mentioned you were into the creative arts, so you did a lot of acting. You obviously do some acting here and there, but you're also a singer. You actually went for The Voice in the UK a few years ago and tried out for that. So what was the decision for you to go down the path of doing content creation instead of going down the musical path?
Yeah. That was a bloody long time ago. We come back to think about it. Oh, it was 2013. That was a few sleeps ago.
Sorry to throw you under the bus there, but I was interested to read your biography, and I find that very interesting. Obviously, you obviously travelled around the world because of your brother, and you've done a lot of watching MotoGP, World Superbikes, and across Europe. But yeah, interesting to read. You did The Voice in the UK back 12, 13 years ago, which is a very long time ago.
Like I said earlier, for me, it was always the creative side. That's what I just loved. And when I discovered the theatre and the performing, and we had a guitar sitting around the house, and Mum put me in guitar lessons, and then I just started learning. And from that's where I really developed such a big passion for the performing arts, the skills that came into it. And so as I started going through my teenage years and whatnot, you start to get a bit of rejection. You go for an audition and it's a no. And then for me in that time, it was really pivotal where with the performing in the theatre and the stage and the screen and TV, it was starting to be stuff I couldn't control anymore. It was like, oh, we like you, but you have the wrong hair color or something like that. Then when it came to singing, I got really insecure. This is like a therapy session. Got a little bit insecure about it. And I just thought, why am I doing this right now? Is this the right thing for me? It just didn't feel right. At the time, I was living in the UK with my partner who raced motorbikes. So we came back to Australia. I took some time off and I just worked like normal, did my parents own a bakery. I worked in the bakery. I just lived life like for normal for a few years to really try and figure out what it was that I wanted to do. And everything I kept coming back to was the same thing for me. It was like, I love motorcycle racing, always followed it. Even when my brother stopped racing, I still watched MotoGP, still watch World Superbikes. But I've got all these skills. I've got all this stuff that I've learned, like to talk in a microphone and how to present myself on camera and how to hold conversation, even just little nuances to do with the face and the movement that I learned in the acting side of things, and then how to use my voice through the singing side of things. That's when I thought to myself, surely there is a way that I can combine these two together. And that's how that all progressed. And thank God we had TikTok and social media came about and watching Drive to Survive, and then my time with Honda. And it's really weird. I heard this quote, I think it's by Steve Jobs. It's only when you can look back that you can piece the dots together. And so for me, when I was younger, I was like, okay, I want to work on a sitcom and I'd love to do comedy and I'd love to, maybe do a few feature films and maybe music's my thing on the side or whatnot. And now I look back and I go, okay, all that year studying, all the trial and the error, and when I did get roles and whatnot, all the breakthroughs, everything that happened has led me to this point now, which is where I get to use all of that and talk about motorbikes. I'm literally living my dream life.
Absolutely. And you're one of the very few, as you mentioned before, that does specifically about MotoGP. You host a podcast. You host the OMG MotoGP podcast, and you do a lot of the content creation for that. As I mentioned, Fox Sports as well. And you do a lot of stuff for your own Instagram and TikTok talking about MotoGP. So it's not just pointing a camera in your face and picking up a microphone and talking about stuff. You've got to do a lot of preparation when it comes to the teams, the drivers, the tracks, and just the little nuances about MotoGP that not many other people would know about. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of preparation just to put into a 60 to 90-second video that goes out on a social media platform.
No, you hit the nail on the head there. I think the biggest thing is like I said, okay, I grew up in that and I understand it, but not everybody gets that experience. Not everybody gets to see what I saw or be at the racetrack, experience it that way. So for me, I feel so grateful and so honored that that's what I get to do. All I want to do is help bring people along so they get to experience it. And my platform with Fox Sports has been phenomenal with that, because they allow me to go and create and show people exactly what it is they do. One of the things last year, I went over to Europe for a few months and I said to the Aussies, can I spend some time with you guys on a race weekend? And with Joel, we did a walk around of Aragon circuit. I'd never been to Aragon. It's about 3 hours from Barcelona in the middle of like the Spanish desert. And the coolest thing was walking around the circuit for me, because I'm such a fan. He's telling me, okay, I go into this corner. This is the braking zone. This is what I'm starting to think. But I'm really thinking about 2 corners ahead, because if I get the drive out of here, it's going to take me there, blah, blah, blah. I was like, this is gold. This is brilliant. Keep it coming. But I'm thinking, if I like this content, I am sure there's people sitting at home who also don't get to go to Aragon because they're in Australia. And maybe they want to know what it's like to ride a Moto3 bike around there. Or with Senna, we did Assen, and I'm like, what's it like on a Moto2 bike around here? How do you go? Because it's really flat, like completely different to Aragon, completely different to Phillip Island. How do you manage this one? And he's like, well, the wind's really key here because you need to know the direction that's coming from, blah, blah, blah. And then even with Jack, he was so grateful with his time. I was like, how do you spend a Saturday? What do you do there? And he was like, let me show you. So we spent breakfast to dinner together, and he took me through everything that he does on a Saturday. Nobody at home gets to see what it's like that these athletes do and how they prepare or how they memorize a track or whatnot. So for me, I'm like so fortunate that I get to do that. But I think it's so cool that our Aussies are also willing to try and show people what they do as well, and how their work weekend goes. Work weekend in Tallahassee here, because is it work? It's more fun for these boys,
yeah,
right?
well, we already established that it is more fun. Do you hope that some of the F1 content creators maybe make a sideways move into doing some MotoGP stuff and do some of that alongside the F1 content? Because there's definitely a market to tap into, which you definitely have already. But I think there's more room for more content creators to step into that mold and follow in your footsteps, I reckon.
I think the F1 side of things, and I always say this to F1 fans, I recently went to Vegas for the F1 with thanks to AMG and WhatsApp, and I was in a room full of F1 content creators, and I was like, you guys need to come to a MotoGP race. If you're looking for like the drama, if you want the overtaking, if you want that side of things, come to MotoGP because you get it there. But if you guys like the characters, then you need to come to MotoGP. And I really think it's such an untapped sport. I mean, Liberty Media, who do own Formula One, they've just taken over ownership of MotoGP.
Exactly,
so I think
yes.
think we're going to start to see that shift happen soon, where we are going to start to see a lot more of a crossover. But I think back to last year, we saw Kimi Antonelli attended a race. We saw Isaac Hadjar attend a race. Lando Norris was also attending a race. So we're starting to see even that crossover. If it's organic or if it's not, I think we're starting to see more athletes come to the sport. And it's also less European athletes. One thing with MotoGP is they tend to bring a lot of like European stars that us in the Southern Hemisphere, we don't know about, but when I go to Phillip Island, quite often I'll see cricket players there, like Australian cricket players, because they're a big fan of the sport. And then you think back to Oscar Piastri, who's a big cricket fan. So ultimately, everything just comes around together. And I think that there's going to be that crossover. It's just, is it going to happen in 26? Is it going to happen in 27? I don't know. I mean, the sooner the better, because the more eyes on MotoGP, I mean, the bigger the sport gets. And that's ultimately all that we want. But we've also got more rule changes and stuff happening in 2027 with MotoGP bikes. So, I mean, it could bring more on-track drama, and then all of a sudden, there it goes.
I love that. Love it. One final question before we move on to the next part of the pod. What about the historical aspect of motorcycle racing? Do you take an interest in, the sport from an historical aspect? Do you look at the history of like the people like Wayne Rainey, Wayne Gardner, Eddie Lawson, and some of those big names back in the day, Mick Doohan, of course, Casey Stoner, all those names that contributed to such a very special part of the sport that has evolved into what we have now. Do you sometimes look back on some of those events and take notes and bring yourself up to speed on why we've got to where we are now in the sport and how it's in such a good place at the moment?
For me, I think I was really grateful that when I was younger, I got to know Barry Sheen and Mick Doohan, even Kevin Schwantz. A lot of these people, these big names in motorcycle racing, were someone that I got to meet in my lifetime. So, yeah, I definitely do get to respect what they did. But when I was younger, I didn't really understand either at the same time.
Yeah.
It was only until I just started doing the OMG podcast, like you mentioned, where I worked with a gentleman named Keith Huewen. He's an old racer.
Oh, yes, Keith Huewen, Julian Ryder, who used to do World Superbikes. Love those boys. They were so good. They were obsessed with Carl Fogarty. Always obsessed with Carl. Foggy! I'm sorry, I had to do it. But it was always Foggy. They always used to go crazy when Fogarty won a superbike race. I love Keith Huewen. He's such a good commentator. He's so easy to listen to, and I could listen to him for hours.
Yeah. So I used to do this pod with Keith, and if you know how they were when they were commentating,
yes,
that's what Keith is still like today, and he's about 150 years old. And so, and I can say that.
I'm sure he won't mind you saying that.
He won't mind me saying that. And it was funny because we'd bring guests on, and it might be like Randy Mamola, or it was Julian Ryder, and a lot of these like older guys, and they'd start talking, they'd start telling these stories, and I'd be like, I remember that. I've heard about that. And it was funny because, like I said, I kind of came along through my brother's career and whatnot, and then it progressed from there. But then I started taking me back to when I was younger, and it's like, it's not common for people to have like Barry Sheen like ring their house, or Mick Doohan like call their house, like that's not a thing that people had. So for me, it is really cool in that way. I might not necessarily be able to tell you who won the 1978 World Championship or what tracks they raced at, but at the same time, I think it's so cool. The history, the sport, the way it's come from, because MotoGP is older than F1, right?
Yes, I do, yes.
Yeah, not many people know that. And you think that two-wheel motorcycle racing has been going for so long now, and the people who've come through it, of course, they're such a big, big part of the history, but also it's still going. And that's the coolest thing, is the trajectory is still going. And ultimately, it still looks like a motorbike. I'm sorry, F1 fans, but F1 cars don't look like anything other than an F1 car. MotoGP bikes just looks like a MotoGP bike.
Oh. Right, see ya, bye. No, I'll take it. It's fine. It's fine.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
I do.
No one has a halo in their standard car, but like you can go buy a 5-blade or a Desmos, not a Desmos Adichie,
a Ducati, a Panigale, yes.
Yeah, and you go, it looks the same. It's not that far different to what Marc Marquez goes and trains on or whatnot, So.
I think that's what the relevance is. And you could say to some respects also with supercars that if you can relate to the cars you see or the bikes you see on the racetrack, and they're available to buy and ride on everyday roads, that's a great marketing ploy. You've just found your audience right there, and that's what MotoGP has been so successful in being able to achieve year in, year out for so long. Whereas Formula One, I mean, no one can buy a Formula One car to race or drive on the normal roads. It's almost impossible to do that.
You go on Jack Miller's Instagram when he's been home in Townsville over the summer, and he's riding the same bike that Taylor Elf, who we were talking about earlier, races in the World Championship, and he's training on that at his home up in Townsville, you know? So like it's all there. It's we can go buy one. You're going to go buy one and you're going to learn to ride a motorbike.
Oh, you're putting me under the bus now, aren't you? I did say one final question before, but I want to add on to it. Barry Sheene, you obviously knew him, you grew up with him, and obviously he helped Chris during his racing career until his sad passing back in 2003, the same year Chris won the world title. What was Barry like as a human being?
I was so young, but from what like the little things that I remember, just really funny and really friendly to me. And it wasn't all that many times that like we got to interact or whatnot, but the memory that I have is like me and my mum were walking at a racetrack. Mum goes, "That's Barry there," and I remember him like turning around and like having like a funny smile on his face and whatnot. So in that sense, for me, it was just a really funny, nice guy. But I know he was so integral in helping my brother in his career and really progress there. And that was back in the day when ASBK used to travel alongside with the supercars, and they used to do a lot of overlapping races. And Barry used to do the commentating back then. I remember the Shell adverts on the TV and whatnot.
Same.
Yeah. Now we're going real far back, aren't we?
Sock. What a sock for? I love it. And it's still my favourite ad with Dick Johnson. Like it's that's gold. And I still look at that and Barry was just so good. And I wish I'd met him actually. There was something about Barry I always liked. I mean, the fact that he survived with all the broken bones and losing a pinky finger and to tell the tale up until his passing. I applaud him for what he did. He did. I think he did a lot for the sport back in its day, and he carried on that flame right up until he died. That's a true gentleman, in my opinion.
I always think of the fact that he would and I don't condone this, but drill a hole in his helmet to smoke cigarettes through it. Like it's just so then. And I guess if you relate it to F1, it was James Hunt. It's like the same like style. It's just this bad boy, but also like just this funny persona, just like I'm living life for today's type thing. So no, really, really cool. And like I said, I have little memories, and you know, my family, I'm still friends with the Sheene family as well. So in that aspect, it's cool to see that the motorcycle legacy has lived on. Well, Barry's legacy has lived on. And if you talk about MotoGP, or you talk about old, like the 500cc racing and whatnot, of course you're going to bring up his name. One of the legends of the sport.
He is. And I know him and James, I mean, they were crazy together. They were utterly, they remained friends for many years. And obviously we lost James in 10 years earlier before Barry's passing in 93. And I remember how I always loved James's commentary because he was always straight down the line and didn't take bullshit from anyone. And I remember there was one race, I think it was Monaco, 89, and it was a French driver by the name of Renita Vermeulen, and he was getting in the way, I think, of Senna around Monaco. And Monaco is a tight place in itself. And Rene was saying to Murray Walker, it's difficult to drive these cars because they're not turbocharged cars, and, very difficult to get around Monaco. And James just goes and says, and all I consider that is bullshit. Live on air on the BBC, going around the world, and Murray's just like, so anyway, he just has to move on from that.
But that's how it was back then. And I think social media is phenomenal in some ways. And I also think it's terrible in some ways.
Yes.
And the fact that there's like this line that doesn't get crossed anymore where no one doesn't want to post anything. But imagine back then if they had social media or like everything that it is now.
Yeah.
And James goes and says something like that, like, I would have gone viral.
Well, what was it? Another of these clips that he had was Sir Sterling Moss. I asked about Sterling asked him about the regulations back in 76 because they were new at the time or whatever. Obviously they're so different to drive, but yet you're still so quick. What is it down to? Big balls.
Yeah.
And it is viral still, even though like it's just one of those videos that just lingers in the background and it still goes viral. You share it with someone and everyone just cacks themselves laughing. Although, mind you, I do agree with James that it would have taken a lot of balls to drive those cars, or even if you were riding a bike back in the day, you would have taken a lot of balls to ride those machines as well. It's very different time, but the fact that those videos go viral now, I mean, could you imagine if that kind of technology was around then? I think it would have gone absolutely wildfire.
It's acting crazy. In MotoGP, we have a rider called Pedro Acosta, and he's kind of got that essence about him. He's very much like a young Valentino Rossi, if you think back to like the early 2000s, where
I remember when Valentino was coming through the 125s in 96, 97. Oh, he was wild back then. I'm old enough to remember that.
But Pedro Acosta, he starts to say things, and it was funny because I interviewed him at Phillip Island, and the first thing I said to him was, "What's up with the mullet?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Are you trying to be like an honorary Australian? Like, we know you're best friends with Remy Gardner, but like, are you trying to class this as your second home race? What's going on?" And I think he's trying to bring that back to MotoGP, which is really cool. It's what we want to see, right? We want the characters.
Well, you look at Valtteri. You look at Valtteri in Formula One. He's got the mullet. He's dating Tiffany Cromwell and the road cyclist. And I mean, Valtteri's a lunatic now. He's just brought a whole new audience. And I think like he's going to be permanently relocating to Australia once his career is over. But like the mullet. I mean, everyone knows Valtteri with a mullet now in Formula One, and everyone knows it's a very Australian thing too.
Oh, 100%. That ad he did with Uber.
Uber Eats. Uber Eats. Yeah.
With the car and whatnot. I think
he still has that car. I think he still has it.
You wouldn't get rid of it. It's gold, isn't it?
Oh, that's gold.
But isn't it exciting for him? Like, he was obviously a full-time driver, went to reserve driver, and now he's going back as a full-time driver with Cadillac, right?
Yeah, General Motors, which is massive.
Phenomenal that a career can do that, and that he can keep himself so relevant in people's minds.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And I wish Daniel was still in the sport, but he's happy where he is now, being a brand ambassador for Ford. And obviously Ford are going to be unveiling their link with Red Bull coming up in Detroit. That's going to be interesting. And I mean, Daniel's just he's an enigma in himself, and he's so funny and so charismatic in his own personality. So, you need people like Daniel Ricciardo and obviously those in MotoGP, because that's what the sport needs, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Daniel Ricciardo, big MotoGP fan. Max Verstappen, big MotoGP fan.
Yep.
My colleague at Fox Sports, Matt Clayton, established writer and big in the F1 world with journalism, knew Daniel from a very young age. And he says to me last year, we were talking about him, and goes, "Daniel's like a big MotoGP fan. You know that, right?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't. I didn't know." He goes, "Yeah, when he got his license, he got personalized plates for his car. He got DR46, like instead of VR46. Like massive Valentino Rossi fan." And I just think it's so cool. Like, I've heard interviews with Max Verstappen where he's like, "Yeah, I finish my session and then I go and watch MotoGP FP1. Like, it's so cool that there's that crossover and they just respect each other. And we know that the MotoGP guys obviously love F1. We saw Fabio at Barcelona last year and whatnot. So it's the crossover is there. It's in the sport is so cool. Think about Lewis did the ride with Valentino.
I know. I remember that. That was really cool. And Lewis is not that handy, not that bad. Let me get it right. Not that bad on a motorbike. Like, he actually was only a couple of seconds off Valentino's pace and vice versa. So I know we've had the crossover with MotoGP riders or world motorcycle riders that have done the crossover to four wheels, and we've had the instances of like John Surtees, you've had Johnny Cicotto, Wayne Gardner, Eddie Lawson did IndyCar for a period of time, Casey Stoner did supercars briefly. Like, the crossover is there, although I do tend to understand their thinking. Toby Price as well. I understand they're thinking, okay, I don't want to get myself injured on a bike anymore. I'm going to get myself in a roll cage and go get around in the car now. Wayne Gardner as well. There's another one there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's tempting, right? If you have maybe had a few injuries, motorcycling is dangerous, and you don't always bounce back like you might have done when you were 19 or in your early 20s. So I understand why, but also it's now cool that we're seeing the crossover of F1 into MotoGP with the team ownership, with Gunther Steiner taking over Tectoir in MotoGP, and the rumors of Lewis was going to buy a team. I think there's rumors of Max even potentially investing in a team and whatnot. So we're starting to see the rise, and we're starting to see the crossover from 4 wheels to 2.
This is the Motor Dream Podcast.
Okay, Renita, we know you are absolutely into motorcycling. We haven't asked too much about cars, but I'm going to test your memory a little bit here because I want to know a little bit more about what makes you tick about being a motorcycling enthusiast and a motoring enthusiast as well. So I'm going to ask by starting the first bike that you owned.
A Honda XR70. 70cc was a gift from my brother when I turned 7, I believe, and he was racing for Honda. And okay, I don't know if it counts because I was a young infant, but it's one of the first memories that I have of going to the dealership and getting a new bike. And I was so excited because before that we had a 50cc, and I've always had like Pee-wees and stuff like that when I was younger. But I got my first bike and I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Used to ride it every afternoon after school. I can tell you I had a centrifugal clutch, so I didn't have to worry about that. It was red. I put stickers all over it. And yeah, it was my favorite thing. I just loved it.
Do you wish you still had it?
I do wish I still had it. And now would be cool because my brother and my sister both have children. So now it's the part where I'm like, well, I kind of wish like I'd see like my nieces and nephews riding it when they were younger, but yeah, I get it. Can't hold on to everything forever.
No, that's very true. What about the first car you've owned?
Oh, this is the embarrassing one. My parents bought me a Suzuki Swift when I got my license because.
Okay, they're not too bad. The Swifts are not too bad. Let's not knock them because you can turn them into a little like track day car, depending which model you have. But they're a good runabout. They're all right. The Suzuki Swifts are pretty good.
I remember my dad was watching, I wouldn't be able to tell you what championship or whatnot was on, but there was like a Suzuki Swift Cup where they'd obviously put roll cages on the inside. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think there was one in the mid-90s and then there was one in the late 2000s, 2010s. So...
yeah, which was like about the time when I got my driver's license. And I remember Dad going, oh, maybe we could do that. And I was like, yeah, we should definitely do that. That'd be fun. I don't know if I'd be any good at it, but I'd love to give it a go.
I'm pretty... well, your contacts at Supercars, you might be able to get somewhere.
I don't think I'll be fighting with Brock Feeney or Chaz Motts anytime soon on track.
No.
I'm just going to leave that for them.
Maybe production, you could do Bathurst 6 hour maybe. You could do a production car race around Bathurst. That's possible.
It'd be so much fun. I've done sim racing before and whatnot, and I love it. But I feel like, yeah, I think I'm just going to stick to talking for a job.
What about the first bike you rode? Was it that 70cc or was it a PW50?
Yeah, I believe we had a Honda. I remember it was Honda, and it would have been a 50cc. I wouldn't be able to tell you what model it was or what it was called. But I've been riding motorbikes on my own since I was like 3 or 4 years old. So it's just I didn't really have a choice. I didn't really have a choice. It was like training wheels off the push bike. Okay, time for the motorbike. Off you go.
Time to move up to the real stuff.
Yeah, no playing with dolls or anything in my house. It was like always outside on the bikes, on the motorbikes, out in the farm, having fun.
I'm sure most of your friends, your girlfriends, wouldn't have understood how much of a passion you had for motorcycles as you were growing up.
No, like it was funny because obviously, like I've said, it's not a big sport. So I'd go to school on Monday, and especially as like my brother's career was like happening, and they're like, "Oh, what did you do on the weekend?" I was like, "Oh, my brother raced here and he got this result, blah blah blah." And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we just like went to a pool party." Like it's just like not the average life that I lived when I was younger, which was crazy. And I think back now and I go, yeah, I'd like my parents. I'm so lucky that they take me over to Europe, and me and my brother are really close relationship. And so even though there's a big age gap between us, there's 11 years, as his career was taking off, I was still like a young kid. So I grew up at a racetrack and I'd go and hang out and I just loved it. I just thought that's just my normal. There's no other way to explain it. I think back memories, and we'd go to France, but we wouldn't go to France to go see the Eiffel Tower. We'd go to Magnicor. Like we'd go to Holland to go to Athens. Like
Or you go to Le Mans, go to the
Le
UK.
Mans, exactly. Like we're not doing the touristy stuff. We're at the motorbike track.
Exactly. All right, a double barrel question here. First part is the first road trip that you remember, and the second is the best road trip you've been on.
Oh, first road trip I remember, I have really vague glimpses of memories of it. My brother was racing. It wasn't called the Australian Superbike Championship back then, I don't believe. And my brother was sponsored by Valvoline. My parents had a motorhome. I had Valvoline on the side. And I just remember going in that. I want to say to Wakefield Park because I feel like it's connecting together. To obviously go race. I just remember getting there and it being so cold, like frost.
It is cold down in Goulburn. I know.
Yeah.
I think it was the Australian Road Racing Championship as it was back in the day.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember this motorhome. I remember us going there. I remember getting outside, beanies, gloves on, and like seeing the frost on the ground and being really, really cold. That's what I remember the most. Our favorite road trip though. Oh, that's a tricky one. I've done some pretty cool ones with my partner. He's ex-motorcycle racer, but I would just call him now a semi-professional athlete in everything else because he's just really
actually, we should ask his name. We better give him a name so we know.
His name's Richie Leach.
Yes.
So he raced motocross, a little bit of British superbikes as well, raced like AMA motocross in America and came to Australia. And then when he retired from racing, took up like triathlons, and they obviously had dirt bikes and road cycles and all of that. And now he's really into road cycling and gravel racing. And so that's been his thing. So
he'd be watching the SBS cycling broadcast, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, we watched a friend of ours, Alison McKellar. He was racing in the elite men's on the weekend. So we were watching race over in Perth, which is really, really cool. And then Richie's getting ready to go to Tour Down Under and do all the cycling stuff. And I go, where's the engine? I don't understand. How does this work? Don't
say that to Matthew Keenan. He won't be out. He'll be like, wait, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? These are the most fastest things you'd ever seen in your life. That's how dedicated Matthew Keenan is. I can say that. Hello, Matthew.
No, even like Alistair, I'm like, you need to come to a MotoGP race. Like, it's so cool. If you like cycling, there's wheels. You should come to MotoGP. So,
yes.
But no, we done a road trip. We done the East Coast from where we live here in Queensland. We went down south. That was only recently, so Richie could do a endurance run somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And even that, I just like the simple, like I love Australia. I love our landscape here. I can't even say, like, when I was younger, yeah, we did really cool ones where we'd go from like Oschersleben in Germany to Assen, maybe down to Valencia and whatnot. But I love Australia too. I love it here. So let's go for that. I'm going to go for a recent boring one.
That's all right. Well, okay, quickly. Best European road trip, which is the one that really stands out? Or do all the European road trips that you've done when you were traveling with your brother stand out?
When I was 7, me and my dad went over. My brother got a wild card ride with Castrol Honda back in 2000. So at the time, Colin Edwards was the World Superbike rider on that team. My brother got World Supersport fill-in ride. So me and my dad went over for a couple of months and had a motorhome. And I just remember us driving here, there, and everywhere, listening to the Eagles CDs. My dad loved the Eagles. My dad loved John Mellencamp.
Right.
Yeah, a very mixture of stuff. And I just remember us driving places. I wouldn't be able to tell you where we went. Maybe it's Oschersleben, like I said. I definitely know Valencia was in there. Maybe even Donington Park in the
Oh,
UK.
what a track.
That's very cool. Very cool.
What a track Donington Park is. One of my favourite tracks in England. Love it.
Yeah, nice. It's crazy. And the fact that, the planes fly over and it affects when it rains, makes it so slippery. Like you just don't know with that place. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say when I was 7, I wouldn't be able to tell you where we went, but I just remember listening to the Eagles, John Mellencamp, eating like oven-baked pizzas, being stuck in traffic jams in the middle of Europe somewhere, Dad driving on the other side of the road, and I'm like trying to understand what's going on. I'm like, but I'm sitting in the driver's seat and you're there. It's like weird.
That's a cool story. What about the first time you remember changing a tyre?
Oh, yes, I remember. It was the house I grew up in when I was younger, and my dad had a shed just down below, and I would go down there. I remember he had the tyre changing rack, and I remember like I used to just tinker in there. I just like loved building stuff or watching him do things. I wouldn't be able to tell you what bike it was, but I just remember him like showing me how to do it. I would say I was probably like 6, 5. Like somewhere around then. Did I do it all on my own? No. Would I still do one on my own now? Probably not. But
yes,
but I understood the gist of it.
At least you know what to do. As long as you know how to change a road tyre when you go on the road, that's always a good thing.
That I can do, and that I like touch wood. I haven't had to do that yet on a car, so that's good. But yes, do I know how to kind of set up a motorcycle tyre? Yeah. I kind of do. Will I ask for help? Still, yeah, probably.
We'll accept that. Okay, what about the kind of music you listen to when you're going travelling to a MotoGP event or going on a normal road trip with Richie? What do you normally listen to? Is it the Eagles or American soft rock or you or what's your music taste?
Oh, I have such a wide taste of music. I love everything. At the moment, really getting into country, which is something that I never thought I would. My parents grew up with them. They would listen to music from the 50s, 60s, 70s. Then my brother and sister, because they're a lot older than me, my brother was very big into like, when it was younger, it was like Metallica and the rock and stuff. And then my sister was very much like 90s pop, boy band, Britney Spears, like all that. So I have a really wide, eclectic music taste. Like, I hit shuffle on my music, it might start with like Buddy Holly or Sam Cooke, and then it'll go to Fleetwood Mac, and then maybe it's like Biggie Smalls, and then maybe it's Casey Musgraves, and then there's going to be the Eagles and John Mellencamp in there and live, and maybe a bit of Metallica and something pop and something indie. Like it is a mixture of everything, and it fully depends on my mood. But I would say right now I'm really getting into country music, and I just thought, I wonder why that is. And I think it's the storytelling aspect, because it's something I tend to relate to a lot myself, because I always just say that I'm a storyteller. So I think, I'm going to say country music for the storytelling aspect.
And you're a singer as well, so that kind of makes sense why you love that storytelling aspect.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't necessarily say I'd sing along to like a Metallica or something, but I love the music. I love the energy. I love whatever comes along with it. And if a song, if I feel like I can sing it and you drive past me in the car, you're probably going to be like, what is this chick doing? Because there's a full concert happening. Full show.
Totally understand that. Did you get your license first go on a bike or a car?
I did both, actually. I did. I know. I was really impressed. So I got my car license. I think I got one question wrong, or I did one thing wrong, I think, because I was so nervous. He told me to turn left, and then I ended up turning right at the traffic light, something like that.
Right.
But I did it. But the funny thing, I had my bag on the back seat. In my bag was a water bottle, my wallet, and my phone. My water bottle leaked all over my phone. So I did my thing. They're like, yeah, you passed. And then like, oh, my phone doesn't turn on. Like, what do I do? Oh, I'll just keep going and go and get my license, go and get everything sorted. And then just went and drove home.
Oh,
I
wow.
couldn't call anyone. So I was like, thank God I got it. Otherwise I would have been like, can I just borrow a phone here to call my mum? It's not working.
You just decided, I'll drive home instead and turn up, and then your parents get the surprise that you're actually in the car without a passenger. You got your license. That's a cool story.
No, it was very, very cool. And then it was only a few years ago I actually got my motorcycle license after such a long time. Where we live here, it's convenient to have a scooter. So we Richie race bikes, always had his license, so we had the scooter. And then it comes to summertime and I was like, oh, I just love to take the scooter out and go and explore and whatnot. So I bit the bullet and went and got my license, much to my mum's disapproval. I'm really sorry, Mum. I know you still hate it. You still hate it now. But when I got my bike license, and in Queensland, you have like restricted and non-restricted, and you can only go up to a certain level and whatnot. So I just have my restricted because you're not going to go see me on a Fireblade or something. Like, I'm not interested in anything like that on the road. We have the scooter. My dad has a Ducati Scrambler that he's lent me for a little while that I've been like touring around the hinterland and stuff on, which is fun. And that's all I want to do. I just like to ride. I like the freedom. I like going and having fun. And then I put it in the garage and I'm not out trying to, pop wheelies down the main street or whatever. So in that aspect, I was really nervous going in for my bike license. I'm not going to lie. You're really nervous, yeah. And then because always they go, oh, you're related to Chris, aren't you? So you're going to know everything. And I was like, no, because my dad taught me to trail brake into corners and like feel the dirt underneath and whatnot. Like, you don't do that on the road. Like, it's completely different. So it was like, no one judged me. I'm going to start from ground one, just like everybody else. But no, I'm really glad I did it.
That's really good. But what did Chris say when you got your license?
He was like, good on you. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, it is really cool. And now it's come in handy because, like I said, I did the homecoming ride at MotoGP and it was really cool with that. I got one of my brother's replica helmets actually from him. He was like, yeah, I'll give it to you if you can babysit the kids for a weekend. I was like, sure, that's a good trade, a payoff. We can do that.
Great payoff.
Yeah, I'll do that. So I borrowed his helmet. And luckily, Honda Australia gave me a bike, and getting to ride around Phillip Island on my own. Okay, not fast, not out setting records, but to do a lap with my brother's helmet on. I'm riding with Casey and Senna and Joel, like friends of mine, doing a lap here. I was like, this is really cool. And for me, this is a full circle moment. And like I said, that quote earlier, it's only when you can put the dots together. Now I'm thinking back going, I could only do this because I went and got my bike license, because I started creating content on TikTok, because I took that leap of faith and decided to try something new. So that's really cool. I really enjoy talking to you about this stuff because now I'm getting to reminisce and think back to what I've done in such a short time.
And I'm loving it. It's been a really good conversation so far. And I'm going to keep asking you some more questions because it's going to really make your brain work here. All right. What about the best car or bike you've owned? Or you can have both. Best car you've owned and a best bike you've owned.
Oh, okay. My favorite car that I had a Volkswagen Golf.
Oh, I love them.
I love it. It was great.
Was it a GTI?
Look, that's a Richie question. I don't know. But I loved it. It was a great little car. It handled roundabouts really well.
Did it have the tartan trim on the seats?
No, so then it was just a
standard Golf. Okay, standard Golf.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I think for an overall car, value for money, the size of it, the technology that was in it, for me, it was phenomenal. Before that, I came from a Mercedes A-Class.
They're good.
Like the baby Benz. And it was good. But the things that I didn't like about it was the things that it was like, the door card was like a little bit higher. So I felt like the window was a bit shorter. And I don't know, the paddles and all that stuff. It just, to me, I was like, oh, this is not it. But then when I got that Golf, I was like, this is perfect. It's reliable. It's good on fuel. You can park it anywhere. Okay, it's not the most fanciest car. Like, I had a white Golf, the most basic model, but I loved it. And I keep saying now, at the moment, we don't really need two cars. We have a van, we have a scooter. And I go, if I was to get another car, I'd just get another Golf because I think they're brilliant.
They're good. They're really good
Yeah.
cars. I got a friend of mine who's got a friend of mine who's a friend of my wife's, and he's got a Golf R, so like the real high performance version of the Golfs, and it's cost him a bit of money because he's had to repair it, but he loves driving it because it's manual. It has a turbo on it. It's all-wheel drive. It's a bit of a family vehicle already because he and his wife have got a child now, a little girl. He just loves driving it to work every day from the Central Coast down to Mossman in Sydney. So he just loves driving it every day.
Yeah, like it's just the like convenient, easy, reliable car. And sometimes it's like, yeah, you can get all the fancy schmancy things, and like, but then you've also got this, and it's practical, and it does the job, and it gets me from A to B safely.
Absolutely. What about the best bike you've owned? Is it the scooter?
Yeah, I bloody love the scooter.
What model is it? What is it? Is it a Vespa?
We've got a Piaggio 150.
Ooh, okay.
And it is obviously Piaggio Group, so same as Vespa, but slightly different. So 150cc means like I can easily sit on the motorway and sit with the traffic, so it's good. It's got wicked underseat storing, so you can fit 2 helmets in there.
Oh, perfect.
Which is great. Like I sometimes go to Coles on it, or I'll go get my click and collect groceries because you can fit so much stuff under the seat. Put a backpack on. But what I just love is the convenience factor of it. Is jump on the scooter, chuck a helmet on, sunnies on. You can go anywhere up and down the coast. You can get a bike park easily. And everything feels like an adventure. When you're on a scooter, on the bike, or even like some of the old cars that my family had and whatnot, it just feels like an adventure. It's not just just jump in the car to go here. It's part of the journey to where you're going.
Okay, I'm going to counter this with the next question. The worst car or bike that you've had?
Boy.
I'm sure you've had a few.
Worst car or bike. Do you know what? When I lived in Melbourne, I had an MG3.
Okay. Okay.
I just needed something. I just needed something. I just needed a car. And you'd like floor it, and then it would start to go.
It was gutless, basically.
It was gutless, yeah. There's
Yeah.
a reason why they get given as rental cars as the cheap option, most of the time. Look, nothing wrong with it. Price point, entry level. Like I sold it to a young girl. She was just got her P's here in Queensland. So like that type of thing, it's perfect for. And like I was living in the city near Melbourne, so to get in and out of the city, like easy, right? Would I own one again? Probably not, but it did the job. So thank you, little MG. I do appreciate you.
Thank you, little Chinese car. Thank you. Of a British nameplate. Thank you very much.
Because when I was younger, I loved the MGBs, the convertible, the little sports cars. And when I was like, oh, get an MG, like this is so cool. Oh, an MG. It did none of the same vibes as the MGB. MG3 to the MGB, not even on the same
It's upset the purists big time. Let's face it. So it's just a normal everyday car brand now, not a sports car brand.
No,
That's sad reality, but it had to change in order to survive the modern day trends. Anyway, what about bikes? Any bad bikes you've had?
I haven't actually owned all that many bikes. The only thing I would probably say is we had a Suzuki scooter. I wouldn't be able to tell you the CCs off the top of my head, but I just remember it didn't feel fast. Let's just go that. The Suzuki scooter wasn't a fan. We need the 150cc. We probably need like a 200 or something soon, we've got places to go.
Yeah, exactly. You need a 250. Go Moto 2. Oh, no, they're not they're not 250s anymore, are they, Moto 2s?
No, they are 375.
Oh, wow. So they've gone up in size in the last, 20 years or so. That's impressive.
Yeah.
All right. Pet peeves like stickers on cars or aftermarket spoilers or, having the fluffy dice. Do you do that for your own car, or are you keep it as clean as possible?
I can keep it as clean as possible. I remember one of the years, Marc Marquez won one of his world championships with Repsol Honda, and my brother got me a sticker because I'm a big Marc Marquez fan.
Right.
Got me a sticker, and I was like, oh, I should put this on my car. but I don't want to because I don't want to put it on my car. But I should put this on my car because it's not going to stick. And I was so torn. I didn't in the end, but no, I like to keep my stickers clean. I would say the thing that my biggest pet peeve is I live in a pretty quiet area, and the big patrols come past and they just the loud noise and whatnot. I'll be sitting on my balcony. I think it's just because I'm getting old. It probably doesn't like peeve me off that much, but you hear them come past, and I'm like, we're still trying to relax here. Can you guys just like quieten down a little bit? But then what I love is when I'll hear a motorbike come past. I'm like, yes, the sound. Or one of my neighbors, I think, owns a Porsche, and sometimes he'll come past and he'll like give it a little bit. I'm like, yeah, that's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Give us that.
Yeah, I agree. If I can easily distinct the sound of a V-twin or a V4 Ducati. I love the sound of the Dukes. They are beautiful. I can also pick up the sound, the engine note of a side, the Yamaha, the 1000cc, was it the side plane, the cross plane headers or the camshaft on them? You know how they got that?
Oh yes. I know what you mean.
That engine is just you throttle that hard. You hear it going down the main straight at Sydney Motorsport Park, down Gardner Straight, and it's just that is just beautiful. It just revs so hard, and it just it's a beautiful piece of machinery and a beautiful sound as well. I love it.
How you are just describing that, and that's me. I hear like any bikes on track or bikes on MotoGP bikes. I'm like, it's just so nice.
The only one I don't like, and this is going to be controversial, I find Harley's too loud.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah. I know I'm going to get myself into trouble for it, but Harleys, yeah, they are distinctive. They're great, but they're too loud for me, in my opinion. So I said something controversial earlier about F1 cars. You can say it about Harleys, and then we're even Stevens. We are now. Yes. Yes. All right. One more question. Who taught you how to ride? Obviously, your dad, I take it. What about Chris? Did he teach you how to ride as well?
He did, yeah. Between the two of them, a lot for both cars and for both motorbikes. Motorbikes, obviously, when I was younger, when I got my XR70, my brother was living in Europe. So it was like a present to me from him being far away. And so I spent a lot of time on that with my dad, and dad would teach me things, and then Chris would come home and show me stuff and whatnot. But same with my car, like driving when I was on my L's, it's mostly me and my dad, and we had a lot of different cars then. So I was fortunate I got to drive a lot of different things. And then my parents bought me the Suzuki Swift for my first car, which I'm so grateful for. And then it was the one of the key things I remember is my brother teaching me to overtake, but not in the normal way. When you're behind someone and they're going slow, and then you go out and you overtake. Like there's this one road here not far from where we used to live, and he's like, right, I'm taking you to Coolum Yandina Road. He's like, I'm taking you to Coolum Yandina Road. I'm going to teach you how to do this.
Yandina, which is up in Sunshine Coast, isn't it?
Yeah. So he took me there. He's like, this is where I taught our sister Jess. She did the same thing, and because it's like obviously the dual carriageway, and so he went and taught me how to do this. So it's just the thing that's always stuck with me is like dad taught me everything else about cars, Chris with that. But then when it came to the motorbikes, it was just the both of them. And I was always, if I wasn't on the back with one of them, I was on the back with the other, or I was on my own and the other two were riding with me or whatnot. So it's just always there.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to ask you, before we move on to the Dream Garage, your favourite Australian racetrack and your favourite international racetrack and your reasons why.
I'm going to be so cliche and say Phillip Island because it's Phillip Island. Like it's Phillip. What can I say? I'm lucky with my job. I get to, talk to the MotoGP riders and everyone bar Iagura loves Phillip Island. And I'll say to them, I did a hot lap. They would tell them I did a hot lap.
I've actually kind of had a hot lap around Phillip Island. I actually, when I was doing working on the TV production of ASBK, done it a few times actually at Phillip Island, but I've been very lucky to go around in the course car with Race Safe. Simon Mars, who runs Race Safe, we've been very fortunate to travel with Steve and Troy Bayliss in the course car and just doing some stuff on the track, which I put together, edited and pieced together for broadcast. Yeah, I still got the vision actually. I still have the video file. But just to listen to Steve and to Troy, obviously world champion in his own right, both of them world champions, but just to listen and observe the circuit of Phillip Island, I mean, it takes a whole new perspective on how nice the track is. Like, it's so free-flowing, and to think it's had such a crazy history. It's been opened and shut a number of times in the past. It was used for grazing, farmland for a period of time when it was closed. I mean, that's just crazy. And it also was the place where the race that is now known as the Bathurst 1000 started all those years ago. A lot of people tend to forget that was the birthplace of what the Bathurst 1000 is these days. It has a huge amount of history. I hope it's one of those places that MotoGP doesn't leave. As much as it would be nice to see them race at other tracks around Australia, it just feels right that Phillip Island is a spiritual home.
Oh, and the riders love it. Talking to Pedro Acosta, he goes, there's nothing like this track. There's nowhere. He's like, yeah, Portimao a little bit, it's similar. And India had some corners kind of like that. He goes, but there's nowhere like Phillip Island. And he goes, I look forward to it. And you hear that from one of the world's best, even Pecco Bagnaia and Abe Bastianini, and of course Jack. It's his home track, but he goes, I love this track. Might not suit my riding style, but he goes, I just freaking love it. And as a fan, it is so cool to see, because you can be up near Lukey Heights and you can see 3/4 of the track. You can be down at turn 1 and you're watching them come in and then go around it up around Miller Corner and whatnot. There's so many cool vantage points, but also the unpredictability of the weather, the wind. Like, I don't know, this. Yes. You just do not know what's going to happen at any day, at any point of any day there. I mean, it'd be cool to stay. It'd be cool if they could update the garages and whatnot there, because, it is a little bit outdated when you go to some of the European tracks. I mean, not all of them. Some of them are still quite outdated as well. But I think it would be a shame to lose it, because it's so iconic. So many people go, I want to come watch racing at Phillip Island. Even like the supercars guys, if I talk to them for Fox and we played a little game and it was like, what circuit would you love to see back on the calendar? Most of them were like Phillip Island. Yeah. Phillip Island, because there's nothing like it.
Agreed. Internationally, what's your favourite track?
That is a tricky question. I've been to some phenomenal tracks this year. I got to go to Mugello for the first time and hear that in the Tuscan hills, the sounds.
I was in that area on my honeymoon a couple of years ago with my wife. We actually went to Imola. And
so cool.
And Imola is such a cool track, but it's so special for so many reasons because of Senna. And the memorial that's on the inside of the track where Tamburello is, that's, if you get a chance, go and visit it, because it will take your breath away. Even if you're not a Formula One fan, or you're not a four-wheel motorsport fan, you just go to it, because it is just, the shrine is, it just takes your breath away, and it moves you. It really does move you. That's how I can describe Imola. It's a very, very unique place. It is a bit haunting a little bit because of the ghosts of Senna and Ratzenberger, but it is such a cool place, in my opinion.
No, I went when I was younger, because the World Superbikes used to race there a long time ago, but I would have been 9. So I don't have any recollection of that side of it. But now, as I'm older and I've obviously watched the Senna documentary on Netflix and the shows and all that stuff, it's on my bucket list to go purely for that reason, just to see, because obviously it's Ayrton Senna. Like, the man's a legend in motorsport just in general, right? So I think to go there and experience that, no, that's definitely on my bucket list.
But Mugello, that's a cool track.
It's very, very cool. Would I say is my favorite? I'm going to go a bit left field here. I'm going to say Laguna Seca.
Oh, that's a good track. I was racing it on iRacing the other day. I love Laguna Seca. It is a good track.
It's really cool. When I was there, I was, I want to say like 16, 15, something like that. And brother was racing in MotoGP. So obviously there's all of that aspect of it. But we got to walk the corkscrew. And I remember that. I remember seeing it for the first time and just took my breath away. So cool. It's such a shame that it's not viable for MotoGP to still go there because it's just such a cool track. But for me, it holds such strong memories. But then Aragon has like a reverse corkscrew, which is really, really cool. But I'm like, it's not Laguna Seca. It's not the same thing. So I'm going to say Laguna. And I'd love to see MotoGP and World Superbikes back there.
One day.
One day. Yeah.
Okay, Renita Vermeulen, this is the reason why we got you on the pod. You wake up one morning and you get a text. You check your phone and you think, oh, this must be a scam from Nigeria or whatever. Or it must have been from an Indian call center. It says, check your bank balance. And you think, come on, this is a joke. You do check your bank balance and you suddenly discover that you've got an instant budget. Like your bank levels have gone to infinity. And you don't know how or why you've got this money. You think it's some kind of mistake. But then you get an email from this mystery benefactor that tells you can buy any car, bike, or machine that you want, but you're only allowed 3 in your dream garage. So with that in mind, what is the first car, bike, or machine you'd like to have in your dream garage?
This is the part I've been waiting for the whole interview. I love MotoGP. I love talking about it, but now this is where we get to the juicy stuff.
Yes.
My dream car. I have to tell you the backstory. So
Sure.
my brother had a dream car of a 54 Ford F100 that when he started earning some money from his racing, him and my dad restored it. I went and helped, and we really got into restoring old cars that way. And we had a lot of old cars growing up. We had 56 Buick. My dad had a Model A, 32 Model A. There's so many different old cars. So I really, really got into that when I was in my teenage years and my early 20s. I've never owned one, but my absolute dream car is a 1957 Ford Thunderbird, baby pink, white hardtop with a moon window. It's the most girly American sports car. It's got like little fins on the back. It's very 50s, very American. But I just loved it. I saw one the first time when I was a teenager, and I just absolutely fell in love. And I'm always on like eBay or like car sales looking to see if there's any for sale. Not that I can afford one, but I mean, who knows? Maybe this is going to manifest and we'll make this a thing. But a 57 Ford Thunderbird. That would be the first car.
That is, I can see why the Thunderbirds are in high regard, particularly for you. I'm actually very impressed that your family love those historical things like those classic cars and that. And I can see it runs in the family. So, it makes a lot of sense. So, for those listening, the Ford Thunderbird originated between 1954 to November 1957, came with 2 different engines. So, it came with a 292 cubic inch or 4.8 litre V8, or it went up to a 5.1 litre, so a 312 cubic inch. So, you'd have to choose which one you want to have. You'd have the 4.8 litre or the 5.1 litre. What would you have?
Honestly, I don't really care.
Don't care? Okay, fair enough.
I don't mind.
Don't care. As long as it's would you prefer the manual or automatic?
Oh, I think you go manual for one of those.
3-speed manual, it.
On the tree as well, right?
Yeah,
next to the
3 on the
next to the
tree.
steering wheel.
Yeah,
nothing like it.
Back in the day, they were worth around about. Just looking at it, they were worth around about $3,000 to $4,000 US dollars back in 1957. Can you imagine how much they would be now? They'd be like a pristine one would be 6 figures at most. If you, like I said, I do look at them a lot because they're obviously left-hand drive, being American, etc., etc. Most of them do sit around like 80 to 100 and something
in there, depending on like how well the body is, if there's rust, if there's done any renovations, restorations, anything like that. So look, it's a bucket list car and it's a dream car for me. And one day I will have one in my garage. One day it'll be there.
They made 53,166 of them, so maybe you might be able to get one of those 53,166 and bring it back to Australia.
It's funny because like I never like, you know, you hear people and they're like, oh, the rare cars. Like my brother had a Morgan, like a rare car that he bought from Richard Branson and stuff like that. And I go, but I just love the Thunderbird. Like I just love it. Like it was just like a single ladies car, I guess, in the 50s or something like that, because they're only 2-seater.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know. There's just something about it. It's so petite. It's quite feminine. It's still that sports car, but it's that American sports car. So it has that bit of muscle, that bit of grunt to it as well. I feel like it's a really blend. Now I'm thinking about it. It's me in a car.
Yes, it is.
It's me in a car.
It's you. It's definitely you. What's Richie going to say when you tell him that?
He knows. He like ever since we've been together, he knows that I'm one of Thunderbird. Like we always talk about getting an old car because he never grew up around it. But then when he came and got involved with my family and saw that it was a thing and how much the cars become part of the adventure and the journey and it not just getting you from A to B, he started to understand it. And now that's why we take the scooter everywhere and anywhere we go together because it's just fun. So he's like, okay, one day you'll have an old car. Maybe when the MotoGP's done and you're not traveling with the racing anymore and you can actually use it, then we'll have somewhere for it to go in the garage.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, the second car, bike or machine you'd like to have in your dream garage?
I'm going to go something very standard again. I was working at a dealership when Ducati released these and I fell in love. This was 2014. Ducati Scrambler. I loved them from the get-go. My dad has one and it's the bike that I've borrowed from him now. And I think that it's so easy to ride. My dad has a Aquapovic exhaust on it. So you start to shift down and you let the throttle off and it pops a little bit.
Oh, I love that.
Same.
I love that. It's a very Ducati thing.
Very Ducati thing. Like one of the roads close by is 3 lanes and I'll always try and go in the middle lane. So there's 2 cars next to me so I can hear it like echo through the cars.
Oh, yes. Love it.
There's nothing better. And the cool thing I loved about these Ducatis is the old school styling. They came through. I mean, I won't say the colors are amazing. I won't say anything about it is just like absolutely amazing. But the package overall for me was just everything that I'm after. You ride it to have fun. You don't ride it to go fast. You know, it's got the electronic dash, but it's just like the little round one like the old bikes would have. It's the round headlight like the old bikes have, but it's an LED.
Yeah.
You know, electric start. Like it's all simple. But it's made to look like a 70s, 80s. There's so many parts on it that you can change. You can really customize it to yourself. And it's really that lifestyle of we ride to live, you know, that type of thing. So for me, that's something that I'm going to have. My dad asked for his Ducati back. I'm going to cry because I love it. And then I'll probably get my own.
Well,
thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. Exactly. But I love it because it kind of resembles like a naked bike. Like, you know how they're like stripped down bikes. They don't have much fairings at all. It just has that look about it, which I actually do like. I think they're very practical. I love that old school look about it. 1079cc air-cooled Desmodromic L-twin engine tuned for the broad torque. So it has a lot of torque for a little 1100 motor, producing about 86 brake horsepower or 63 kilowatts. So that's a lot. A lot of torque, a lot of power. You know, you'll be able to get up hills with relative ease without needing to go crazy. That's it's meant to be ridden, which is actually really nice. So yeah,
100%.
We're raving about Ducatis. I'm sure that you know Alana Barado, who's from Ducati. I'm sure she'll like everything that you just said about the Dukes.
Alana, if you need an ambassador or something, you just give me a call because I am obsessed with these Ducati Scramblers. I love them.
I need to get Alana on. I need to get her on the podcast at some point.
You do.
I've known her for a while. She really is passionate about her motorcycling, just like you are as well.
Oh, that's the cool thing is so many people, Rosie from KTM Australia as well.
Yes.
There's so many women in motorcycling here in Australia that are just so passionate about the KPEG. We listed so many names earlier, some that you just don't know because they're behind the scenes. So it's cool. We got strong girl power in motorcycling here. But yeah, Ducati Scrambler. When you get your license, we're going to do this 2026. You're going to ride a bike, get your license, have a go on a Ducati Scrambler. I will just say the engines, typical Ducati thing, engines produce so much heat. So just maybe don't ride it in the middle of summer, because the other day I went for a ride on my dad's one through the hinterland, and obviously I'm head to toe covered in gear because safety first, thanks Alpine Stars. And come back and he's just sweating. It's just really hot.
It's not good for me because I don't handle humidity all that well, so I might say pass on that. Might ride it in the winter if I
because you'll be like, this is great. Everyone's complaining that it's cold. It's really nice.
Well, I do have family members that do have Ducati, so I might have to now. I've got no choice. You've thrown me under the bus there. So.
Look, we're in January 2026. It's not too late to set a new goal for the year.
Yeah, fair enough. Say that to my wife. She might disagree. Finally, your third car, bike and machine in your dream garage. What would it be?
Oh, okay. This is a tough one, and I'm going between two. Because part of me is like, I feel like I need to say something modern, something like fast, something cool, like Porsche 911.
We've had a number of people that have said the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. So I mean, you could say that, and we're like, or we could go, or
sticking with my classic car theme. I wouldn't necessarily say this is the most practical car. Would I go park it in a shopping center? Probably not. But a 1959 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. Ooh. It's a very, very California, very Hollywood, very big, long, takes up space, has big wings on the back. The rear taillights look like little bullets that come through.
Yes.
Very classic American Hollywood, that type car.
You do love your American muscle cars. I'm very impressed.
Oh, something about like hot rods and whatnot when my family were really involved in it. I loved it. Like some of my dad's friends had some really cool cars. My brother had a 1932 Ford, had a big block engine in it. My dad's got a car that he's customized. It's got a Mopar engine in it. Like a lot of this stuff and this classic is such a big part of my teenage years and my family history and whatnot that for me, it comes back to what I was saying is like the car becomes like the car becomes part of you. Yes. You take it places. It becomes an adventure. It's not just, the car's in the garage. Like you take pride in it, you wash it, you keep it clean. Like, but I don't know, something to do with those Cadillacs. I just loved when I was a teenager, like 13-year-old me would just be like, yeah. And I remember going for my license and being like, yeah, I'll just get a Cadillac for my first car. My parents being like, you're not going to park that at the shopping mall. Like you won't get into the car park. And now I'm so glad because we drive a Volkswagen van because my boyfriend Richie has motocross bikes and dirt bikes, mountain bikes. And now sometimes I try to park that at like IKEA and I'm like, I can't get into these car parks because they're designed for MG3s and not Volkswagen vans.
They're tight, those car parks.
Yeah.
I know. I find it all a challenge every time I park my car in the apartment that I live in downstairs. So it's always a challenge because my neighbour who parks next door to me owns a Golf GTI, and she it takes a lot of judging, and thank goodness rear view cameras now. You can. It's just okay. As long as I can get the rear windows don't touch the pillars of the garage door, I think I'll be okay, and I get in fine. So, and as long as I don't touch the car next to me, big win for me. So, but Cadillac DeVille Coupe, with a 6.4 litre V8 with a 4-speed Hydromatic automatic. You just go along the motorways here up in Brisbane or up in Queensland. Got your arm on the window, driving like Brocky, and then just you got the radio on. You got your Beach Boys or your Buddy Holly or Roy Orbison, and you could just drive along without a care in the world. I like it.
It just feels like a big lounge chair. The suspension's really soft on it. You cruising. That's the whole point. You're just cruising. And unfortunately, in the 50s, they didn't come with reverse cameras or parking sensors on any of their models. So that's why I wouldn't be able to have one at the moment.
Some of them didn't even come with seatbelts. So it wasn't mandatory back in the day. So that's a big change.
I remember when we got into the hot rods and I was learning about it and whatnot, and my dad telling me, yeah, some of these cars had what they call a dicky seat. So where the back would open up and there'd be like a seat in the back that's not even part of the cab. It's just like a random seat where like the boot should be on someone like the old 30s models. And it's like, times were different, weren't they?
They were more carefree and not thinking about safety way back then. That's very different. But I'm very impressed with your garage. Very impressed. Very different. It's very eclectic.
Different.
Very eclectic.
Yeah.
The Ford Thunderbird from 1957, first generation Thunderbird, the Ducati Scrambler 1100, and the Cadillac Coupe de Ville from 1959. I've got no other words but to say you've absolutely blown me away by your choice. It's been, great to listen to your dream garage. It's very different, very unique. We had Tim Schenken on, the respected motorsport administrator and former F1 driver himself. We had him on for the last episode of our podcast series, for the second series late last year, and he mentioned the Mercedes 300 SLR and the Maserati 250F as part of his dream garage. And he has an appreciation for those kind of vehicles. And I could see that there's a similar path for you, having grown up with hot rods and those classic cars in the 50s. It's a really nice thing to have, because I kind of feel people of our generation and younger, I think they kind of miss out on what your parents' generation before that had, like there's a lot of beauty about them, but we don't get to see them as much as we used to. And I think we're kind of missing out on that.
I think for me, you really hit the nail on the head. I loved the aspect of obviously getting to work on these cars and learn about them. And we had a Buick, and it had really, I'm trying to think, it's called Dynaflow. Dad was trying to explain it. There's all these like intricacies on cars that I didn't know existed. And nowadays you don't hear anything about it. But the fact that, we got to work on these cars, and then we was lucky enough I got to drive them when my dad let me. And experience it and just see it. And like I said, you cruise, you go for the journey. It becomes part of what you're doing. It's not just to get you to the next place and where you're going. It was a really cool thing, and it made me really understand and respect that everything that you do in life, it's not just about getting to the next place. It's about enjoying all the steps that get there. And I really took that part of it into everything else that I do. Plus, there's a really, really cool way that I got to connect with my family on Sundays. We'd go and meet up with some like the car clubs, and they'd go drive around and go to places, and you'd make friends, and I'd make friends with people who had a similar interest that my family had and their family would have. And so then you're getting to meet different people and learn about different people. So it really is a way to expand my current horizons, because back then, like I said to you, it was motorcycle racing and it was performing arts. That was my life and school and Chris's career. And then it got to expand into something else. And also thinking about it now, it's also another creative way, because you're then working on a car, you're building something, you're watching something come completely stripped bare, and then you're putting it all back together and seeing the final finished product. So it was cool. I look back on that time with really fond memories. I loved all the parts of it. And I think that now it's really shaped who I am. And hopefully one day I can have this dream garage, and there'll definitely be like a normal car in there somewhere.
Oh, of course. We've got to have a normal car. Well, you got the Golf. You got the Golf.
The Golf. Yeah, exactly. Something like that would be great. But no, definitely an old car to Sundays when it's sunny. Hit the road, go and get breakfast, go and get a coffee, go and see some friends, go and explore places, but enjoy the journey going there.
I agree with that, and that's a perfect way to end this chat. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, Renita. It's been a joy to get to know you as well. And we've been talking a little bit in the last few months to try and get you on the pod and getting to know one another on a professional level. But it's been a joy to listen to your stories and getting to know why you love motorcycle racing so much, why you're trying to broaden the audience of motorcycle racing and MotoGP on a social media perspective, and to see you have a real fondness for cars and bikes in particular, it gives me great joy, and I've been enjoying this chat so much. So thank you so much for coming on. Good luck for the 26th season and all the very best in your future endeavours when it comes to motorcycling and also getting that dream garage, having that Thunderbird, having that Coupe de Ville and having that Ducati.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. It's been great. It's so cool to take a step back and look at what I have achieved and get to know somebody else who loves motorsport and the passion that you bring, and having this platform to share my story and to show a little bit more about me has been so wonderful. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
I told you there was a distinctly American feel to a dream garage, and I have to say, I was rather impressed. The Ford Thunderbird and Cadillac Coupe de Ville are both iconic classics, and I can definitely see why Renita and her brother Chris love that era of motoring. And of course, you have to include something special like a Ducati into the dream garage. Kudos to you, Renita, for going all out. Very impressive. I should add a footnote to this chat. When the interview was recorded in mid-January, it was done at a time when the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix was increasingly becoming uncertain about its future. Little did we know at the time that there was going to be a significant shift about to occur. By the end of February, the world found out that MotoGP had struck a deal with the South Australian government to host the Australian Grand Prix on the streets of Adelaide from 2027. Ever the professional, Renita was front and centre on the ground reporting on this landmark announcement, setting the tone for a massive 2027 season, and we're only a quarter of the way through 2026. My profound thanks to Renita for being so generous with her time and her busy schedule, and you can catch Renita on Fox Sports MotoGP coverage via Fox Sports 506, Fox Sports News and on KO Sports. You can also follow her on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok, and listen to her via the OMG MotoGP podcast on your favourite podcast platform. We put the links up in the show notes as well as the MotoDream podcast website. The address to visit the show website is themotodream.com.au, where you can listen to past episodes, find more information on each of our guests, and also on the show itself. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram with the handle The MotoDream, and you can start a conversation about your dream garage by using the hashtag The MotoDream, or drop us a line on what your dream garage would be, or leave us some feedback on the show itself. Our email is themotodream@beastproductions.com.au. Lastly, make sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and now you can find us on the Podbean and iHeartRadio apps. Thanks for listening, and remember to drive or ride safely out on the roads wherever you go. We'll be back for another episode in a couple of weeks' time, where my guest is the 2025 Porsche Carrera Cup Australia champion, Dylan O'Keefe. Until then, have a happy and safe Easter, and we'll see you next time on the MotoDream Podcast. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the MotoDream Podcast. This series is proudly produced by Beast Productions.